I don't know. I told you guys I've been into Schwitzen lately, the esoteric ancient Jewish knowledge and majesty of schwitzing. But I think a lot of times people do it, they go to the sauna. But I've been doing the stair climber. So it's actually kind of a workout, but just sweating so much, your body loses so much sodium. And I didn't know this, but sodium is like electrolytes. Whenever they say, like, you need electrolytes, blah, 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 that's just salt water or whatever. Like our bodies are made of salt water. So if your salt water level is off, that can really mess with you. And actually, another weird like factoid. This came up in the pickle short story I wrote, but I learned this because I did a what do you call it a fast once. And the fast, I don't know if they call it a saltwater fast, but you chug a liter, like a huge, Mountain Dew bottle full of salt water. And what happens is you would think like, oh, that must be really bad for you. It's so salty. It's the exact same saltiness as our bodies, which is kind of like max saltiness that the liquid that water can hold, like at 97 degrees or whatever. Um that's kind of what we like or whatever, but um it because it's so salty, it can't like move between membranes of our body. Like that's how we get water that is not salty can get into our body because of the lack of saltiness. It can get absorbed, but it can't get absorbed if it's the exact same amount of saltiness. There's like no exchange or whatever. Don't ask me how it works. This is seventh grade uh, science, actually. They teach you in seventh grade. I've since forgotten, but it kind of sort of makes sense. So, anyway, if you chug a bunch of salt water, it just goes literally straight through your body like a jet, just and it'll like clean out your whole body. You'll have beyond diarrhea. Like diarrhea is not the word for what you have. You'll have like a super soaker, like out your bunghole is what you'll have. Like not even you'll have like a sprinkler system. Like you could be working for the cows. You could be grass fed beef up in here, upside down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I did that once. But anyway, don't recommend it. No, no, it's cool. It's good for you. But schwitzing, anyway, messes with your saline levels. So one of the nice things that's kind of fun about it is you can eat like a giant pickle when you get home, and instead of it being like, oh, that was too much, you kind of more have the feeling like that was just right. So let me just try and get this pickle down real fast. I bought a giant jar of pickles, which is also ill advised. How am I ever going to eat all these pickles? I was like, you know what? It kind of goes with the schwitz. So I think I might, we'll see how long I keep up my little pickle habit. But four people watching, say hi from the chat. This is kind of neither here nor there. The day, kind of late-ish last night, I was doing a few final edits on a few pages for Hotel Story because Jared's drawing it and coloring it, but I'm helping with a few touch-ups on like a handful of pages, and it was down to a handful left. And there were some pages where the 3D backgrounds we had used were too minimalist, so we had to go in and draw the backgrounds to make it more detailed, but kind of keep it at that 3D look, which is like, kind of a lot of work. Like we should have just done the 3D. And this is like some of this was me. I should have done the 3D better, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'm going in there, fixing up the backgrounds. Finished it though, and that's the end. So like we're sort of done. We're going to compile a version, send it out to editors, and start working on the trailer. We'll be ready to launch a crowdfund in the summer, or whatever we want to try and do with that book. But it's turning out great. We love it. But it's very exciting, that feeling of finishing it. So I was like, well, today I was like, I'm taking today off. And whenever I take a day off, though, I don't always know what to do with myself, which is not always the best because I've been sick. So I can think of fun things like I'd want to go on a long bike ride. I kind of don't want to do that because I'm sick, but I did still do the stair climber. I kind of broke down. I was gonna take the day off even from that, but and I still want to play video games. I didn't do that today, but I kind of think about it. What game I'm gonna play? I don't even know. I'm gonna try and live stream it or not. I was playing Spike McFang, so I'll probably try and play that either late tonight or tomorrow. I will try and get like a session in on that because that was fun. I just kind of fell off, like I don't know. You're kind of like building habits. You have to almost like force yourself to get addicted for video games at my age, and then you'll enjoy it, and then you'll be glad you did it. It's not like a waste of time. For me, it's like productive, like to be able to enjoy myself like that or whatever. It's kind of rare to get into a video game, so I do like it. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be more of a problem where I would play too much or whatever. But yeah. So I was kind of taking the day off, and I yesterday and today I had written a new Naked Samurai short. I was pretty excited about it. So that's a little bit what this live stream might be, is talking a little about Naked Samurai shorts. I have like a little bit of a daydream about it. So let me take a bite of this pickle here. One second. We got 6 people watching. How's it going? Everyone say hi in the chat. I was like, what do I want to do? It's my day off. I'm like, what sparks joy? I'm like, you know what? Getting a good schwitz on, eating a pickle, and then a giant thing of water and a live stream. And if I get thirsty, I'll just drink water, as much as I want. Because for me, that sparks joy. And talking Naked Samurai. I chose that above video games, but I still kind of like got the checklist. I gotta play video games now, and I'm streaming with Aldous in like an hour and a half. So, but this stream I was thinking maybe to be an hour if I can keep it, if I can get it going an hour. Um, but yeah, let me have a bite of this pickle here. One second. So, the daydream is the hypothetical dark horse pitch, because this is part of it. Because I kind of have sort of it in with Dark Horse, although I haven't talked to them at all. But seemingly, the book I'm working on is published by them. So I feel like I could at some point talk to a Dark Horse editor. And if I did, I'd be like, oh, what could I do? What could I like, send them something that I've written to read, pitch them something. And there's a lot of things like Percival, I would love to, but it's not even like done. It's not even begun yet, really. That's like down the line. And Earthbound, I love, and then maybe I could send it to him to read, but that's like a little more indie. But the one that I was thinking could be kind of sweet is Naked Samurai. And I was wondering, like, in my daydream, I'm like, it would be published as a floppy series that is exclusively short stories, all about the Naked Samurai. So like one floppy, 22 issues would be 2 short stories per issue, and just go try and do 50 issues, like a 50 issue run, 100 short stories about the Naked Samurai. I'm like, that might be like sort of hard, but as I think about it more and more, I'm like, I could do it. I think I could do it. And I would need help with the art. And that's what another thing that came up with it. And I might need help with the writing, so it'd be fun. I could get some people in. We like get a little writer's room going, assign to some artists. And like, I feel like the Naked Samurai has charisma, the idea. Like, I just feel like it would be a cool book that was out there that could sell okay. And the fact that its existence, this idea of it being short stories, and you wouldn't say it's like an anthology. You'd say like, no, it's like a series, but you get 2 episodes per floppy instead of one. So it's episodic, but it's like double episodic. Very kind of fast paced, little like all over the place. I'm sure this is like, maybe been done before. It's kind of, if you try and graph it on a spectrum, it's like one more step towards like Calvin and Hobbes or something. And, versus like 90s style episodic, 80s, episodic that we all kind of remember fondly and love, that people are kind of saying like, maybe this is what we need to get back to, is like one issue is one story for like X-Men, for like Batman, or like for everything, And then, because kind of what they've been doing is like a little bit longer, like arcs, space, quote unquote, spaced for the trade or whatever, paced for the trade. So Jolly, what's all this about? Yeah, so let me see. I'll throw up the 1 second here. 150. We can zoom in. Let me share this screen. I'm talking so much that I haven't been able to eat my pickle. You want to eat a pickle, you got to take big bites. But also, you got to watch out for the pickle choke. You can't choke on the pickle. So, especially if you're talking. Naked Samurai shorts. So right now I have 4. You know, 3 have been drawn and they were in the shorts compendium. A 4th is written. Now the 4th one I wrote it and then like formatted it. It ended up being 23 pages, which is, that's just a straight up comic issue. So ideally not all of them would be like that, but that would almost be like the max. And yeah, I don't know. Whenever I make like you could have, it'd be fun to have a couple double issues in there, the longer stories if it comes up. But definitely like the initial pitch and Daydream is like no, like 10-page stories, 11, 12-page, 2 per issue, bing bang boom, bam bam bam. And so initially those first 3, they were kind of hard to write. They just come via inspiration. Once every couple of years, I get like a Naked Samurai idea and I do it. And it was like that kind of for this 4th one too. But I was thinking like, what if I forced it? Could I like, what is the commonalities between these first 4? So you going to Heroes Con? I am. Are you, Jolly? That'd be cool. I might see you there. The other 3, I think they add up to like 28 pages. The first one is like 5 pages and it explains the concept. The concept is that there's a famous warrior who travels the mountains naked and no one wants to cross him because he's like kind of crazy but kind of badass. And then there's an impersonator who travels naked just because he knows that no one will cross this naked guy. And the impersonator is kind of the main character and he gets into trouble because he's impersonating. So you say that and you're like, well, how would you do 100 like versions of that story or whatever? And kind of we'll get into what happens, but it kind of ends up being like, it's just the characters and literally anything can happen, kind of any samurai story. A lot of times there is like an angle, I will write this down, but it's like a little bit of an autobiographical angle because the reason the guy initially is walking naked is because it's in the summer and he's in the mountains. And this is like a hiking strategy that my dad told me because my dad hikes all the time. My dad said if he's hiking in the mountains in the summer and it's pouring rain, he'll actually put his clothes in his pack and he'll hike in his underwear because your body can get super wet. It doesn't even get wet. You know what I mean? And then you get to camp, your body just dry it off real easy, but all your clothes stayed dry. So that's like a hiking like strategy. So I'm like, oh yeah, a samurai did that too. And people tried to rob him and he killed them all. He got famous. This other guy impersonated him. So that was like the first Naked Samurai. And the second one is like introducing another iconic character who is these twins that use a sword that is so huge that it takes both of them to wield it. Simply Green. How did the Naked Samurai become the Naked Samurai? Gambling debts, prisoner? Did you just hop in? Because I feel like that's what I kind of just said, like 30 seconds ago. But yeah, so you could rewind Simply Green, I think. Sorry. And I think that answers the question. I hope 11 people watching. How's it going, everyone? So yeah, so then these twins that use a giant sword, they're kind of iconic. The Naked Samurai has to cross them. How is he going to even survive? Their sword can cut cavalry in half. They're like unstoppable, basically. Blah blah blah. And so like that's fun, like that. So that like I'll write down what the formulas are, and like if we can repeat these, like you can come up with an iconic character, and then like the Naked Samurai has to cross them or whatever. It's all in kind of feudal Japan, so you kind of make up stuff, make up little wars, battles, feuds to kind of be a backdrop for the stories. Some big green says, I was typing as you said it. Oh yeah. You got one of those loud typewriters. Chicka, 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 chicka. Huh? Huh? Those are good for creativity, though. I think they help. 1 second, I'm going to drink water. Sparks joy for me to drink lots of water and eat salty pickles after I have a good schwitz. Check out what we've written so far. Naked Samurai Shorts. So I want to share with you guys the vision, though. Like imagine 100 short stories, 50, 50 issue series of the Naked Samurai. That's a fun one to kind of like think about or whatever. You just tiptoe in that direction, write a few shorts. But so then Jose and I have been talking about just some kind of collaboration possibilities, some work trade possibilities, and it kind of came up that he might draw one of these shorts, and I think he'd be a good fit for it. And I've had other artists in the past have drawn. Luke drew one of them, and Jared hasn't. But I told Jared like if I write more, it'd be cool if you did one. A lot of the artists that I like and like working with, I mean, I would just want them all to draw one. I would draw some too. I know I don't know if it'd be a series, the type of series where if people if they think like the ones that I draw are the best and the rest are fillers, and they like I would hopefully that would not be the case. I think it'd be like people know like this is we're just everyone's drawing and because that's fun. And even like not necessarily like great art necessarily. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to sell it like, hey, we're gonna get like amateur artists and blah blah blah. But I kind of like that, so I don't know. But that's like sort of part of my vision a little bit. But yeah, so part of it is kind of like starting to of these four that exist. Um, Kind of write down what are the overlaps. Is there kind of a formula where you could start to write more? And one thing I was thinking is like if you have sort of like slice of life ish ideas, then you plug them into a samurai version of that. Uh, then that is a good starting point. So I can give you an example, like a kind of random example is um, like some and borderline autobiographical when I say slice of life. So like a few years ago, one of my friends took me shooting, up in the mountains. So I'm like, what would be shooting but samurai version? And it would be like, a father, is training a son in the mountains and I don't know. They come across bandits. How does the naked samurai get involved? Blah blah blah. I don't even know. That was maybe not the best, but like maybe a hunt. I actually haven't been on a hunt, but he took same dude took me crabbing, and then I wrote a version of the crab script. But that one I read it later and it wasn't very good because I was too excited about authentic crabbing details. So it was more like a how-to crab manual, but set in feudal Japan, and it wasn't good. And I took all that out and I kind of put in a new story, but still have crabs and stuff. Is kind of fun. That's the new one. I actually like it a lot. The new one, Slice of Life, Naked Samurai. No, I'm not. I'm serious. Serious, dog. But yeah. So, but one we were talking about on Creative Block last night. Hold on, I need a bite of my pickle. I'm being slow again with my pickle. Um, we were talking about stinky apartments, and there's one super iconic stinky apartment story, and it's the Howard Hughes story, where he invented like the spruce goose, one of the first guys to fly, billionaire, blah blah blah. Got into movies too. Kind of this interesting genius guy. And they made a movie called about starring Leonardo DiCaprio called The Aviator. But he like went a little crazy and he would hole himself up in his apartment, his like penthouse suite apartment for like 6 months at a time, and he would shit in buckets and piss in buckets and shit. And people would kind of like they'd have to like deal with that. They're like, is he still alive? They have to go get him. He has a handler who has to kind of deal with that shit. And like a friend, quote unquote friend, like, trying to extract him, pull him out of this misery funk that he's got himself into of paranoia. And I was like, dude, that could be a Naked Samurai short. Like just transpose all of that into feudal Japan. So you got the equivalent of this genius, whatever, inventor, businessman guy who has kind of gotten famous at this point, lives in a mansion, but he's holed himself up in his mansion. He won't leave. He's shitting in buckets, and they hire the naked samurai to. They're like, you got to get him out, and like that would be like page one. That's one thing is like these stories got to move fast. That's why I like because they're short stories. Because the story you want to tell will still be kind of long, ish. So you got to like use all the tricks in the book. Like sometimes it becomes like a movie trailer almost to speed it up. Sometimes you use narration, like even like some tell don't show here and there, just because it goes faster. You're just getting across everything you can as fast as you can. But that's like a story. And I'll write that one down. Doesn't really is a possibility. The other thing that's kind of come up is like, so the naked samurai, he's almost like just a bounty hunter. And like there's a line in the latest one, the crab one. They're like, people kind of know there's two naked samurais. Like people aren't stupid. Like they kind of figure that out pretty quick. That's why you can't do 100 versions of that story. But one thing they do want to know, like they ask him, they're like, "So which one are you? Are you the one who loves money, or are you the one who actually helps people?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's the other guy. I'm the one who likes money." And so blah blah blah. You could do a story about the guy um who actually helps people. And then I don't know if I'd ever want to go this far, but you could almost do a situation where he has a split personality. But I think what I kind of want to do is like, and he's actually been both at times. But I do want to do a story where, this is sort of classic where, he's just the selfish anti-hero, but then he does help people sometimes when it comes to it. That's like almost cliche, but it's fun. That's like even Yojimbo does that and stuff. Muromi, what's up, dude? 8 people watched. How's it going, everyone? 21 people. We've if you look at the thing, it's like we've done nothing. I've written nothing, but um, I'm kind of getting across this like concept of maybe doing the Naked Samurai shorts as like a series. Um, Kind of getting a couple different artists on board. One thing I was thinking about it too, doing it black and white, moving relatively fast on purpose. Like just get it going. Get it going. You know what I'm saying? One second here. I gotta take a big bite of this pickle. So, slice of life transposed, feudal Japan, um, iconic characters, and then the naked samurai himself almost just being like a bounty hunter. Those kind of three things can let you do potentially infinite stories. I'm not sure what. One thing is a lot of this is similar to how I was writing Percival, and the Percival ideas could get turned into naked samurai stories, and almost vice versa. Like there's one Percival story. It's in season 2, which is like not gonna get drawn for like 10 years, but I have like the little idea. And the idea is he's crossing the mountains and he crosses a mountain town and it's like uh they're they have their equivalent of like a celebrity rehab is like up in those mountains, and almost like a cult kind of thing to go with it. But part of the cult is that they're expecting quote unquote the big one, which is a big earthquake. And they have a seismologist in a data center, the equivalent of that in the past, which by the way is real. There's actually a lot of earthquake research in ancient China, which is awesome. And some of it they don't like they aren't able to explain it or whatever. But so anyway, this Percival idea, yeah, that's kind of like blah blah blah. The situation he walks into is they're expecting the big one, and then he would actually they have like tremors kind of a lot, and though even those cause problems. But it would be a disaster story that actually the big one would happen. And I think it would happen in the middle of a heist of someone who was stealing something from the rich celebrity rehab. Then the big one happens, kind of traps them all. Good guys and bad guys have to work together to get out of there, et cetera, some other stuff. That's like a Percival story, and you throw him in there with the Holy Grail and everything. But you could totally do that as a Naked Samurai story. And I'm like, crap. So sometimes it's hard to parse the ideas or dole them out one to the other. What's up, Angela Curry? Angela, did you retweet the swimmer and Dale A tweeted it? I want to watch that tonight. If there's time after streaming with Aldous, I'm gonna watch The Swimmer. That'll be fun. Maybe we can talk about it. How many Naked Samurai have you written? So, so I've written four, and there's three that are actually drawn. The fourth might be drawn soon though. Jose might draw it, which is awesome. And I was like, four, that's kind of a lot. It's like a tipping point. It's like, I think I could do more. What's not four? What if it's like eight? What if it's 10, 12, 20, 50, 100? 100 would be the coolest. And I don't know. You know, a random thing about this too is this other thing got tweeted that once Mark Miller did a Superman issue for the Superman Adventures in like this is like late 90s, I think, or something. And it was a 20-page, maybe 22-page issue where every single page is a one-page short story. I was like, man, that's so cool. And you think it would be kind of hard, but I know if you get in the zone, you know, you can do it. I'm pretty sure. Like even if I say 100 Naked Samurai shorts, some of them could be one page. The other thing about one-page comic short stories, I kind of forgot this, but there's a lot of those in The Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller, like famous graphic novel. It's peppered with one-page short stories about people getting radicalized in Gotham City, and it just like creates this flavor. I'm like, that is genius. How come nobody else does that? I don't think anyone else does that. I would do that. I have an idea for a Batman book ish, and it would kind of just be like it would be do that for sure. Do as much satire as possible, even if it's cringy, kind of making fun of both sides. But it's stuff that I think that kind of got like lessons that got forgotten from Dark Knight Returns. And those are a couple, those are kind of only two really strong ones. Is like, yes, satire. It can be cringy. We don't care. It can be funny. Like it, but you have to do it and you have to make fun of everyone. And I mean, like, really, really, really make fun of them. And like, it could be like modern, which sometimes that's where it's cringy, but it's good though. At the time too, Dark Knight, you know, like I think a lot of what he made fun of was hippies. Like it was like Reagan-ish, Warhawks, and hippies, and he made fun of them both. And they're both, and he was making fun of like something that was modern at the time, and I think it kind of aged well. It does date it, quote unquote, but not in a bad way at all. And like today, I don't know. That's the thing. Like I do think one of the main things you would make fun of if you did like a modern Gotham City is you have to make fun of simps, um, and like OnlyFans and stuff like that. You know, which whatever. I don't care if people say like that's not a Batman story. I'm like, yo, we're talking. You guys got to read The Dark Knight Returns again, and whatever. There's these short stories. You know, make fun of Angela. Yeah, yeah. So I gotta roast the Nards. Maybe that'd be fun. What if there was a comic crowdfund and instead of paying to be in it, you could pay to get roasted somehow, or like paid to get killed or be a bad guy, or to maybe just roasted is kind of funny, like borderline like mocked or whatever. I don't know. I have one friend who's really good at that. He's really good at roasting people, and it's kind of heartless, but it's fun. Some migrant says Reddit. Yeah, you probably want to make one of Reddit. Maybe I don't know. Obviously, there's some online stuff. There's stuff in real life that could get made fun of too, and you do kind of want it to be both sides still. But Jolly, I wrote an 8-page comic about Angela. Is it does it roast her? Alex Jones is made for comics. Yeah, you could put a spin on it somehow. I don't know. Um, I don't know if I'd want it to be too online, but maybe that's just the way. Like, I think a big part of it would be like homeless. Like, you'd have to do like annoying crackhead homeless, like kind of like making fun of the homeless, like not romanticizing it. Although romanticizing it is hilarious. It's like meta hilarious. So I was thinking about that. Like, this is almost a separate idea, but I think it'd be a funny comic. By the way, this is cyclical. This like happened in the 80s. I guess in the 80s, homelessness was very like in the public. consciousness, and there was a lot of media about homeless stuff, and there was lots of homeless romps and homeless adventures that you'd almost call like pro-homeless propaganda in a good way, like in a funny way. Like we need to bring that back. So that's what I want to do. I definitely would want to do like if you have a modern Gotham City, it's like packed with homeless people, um, good, bad, and ugly, but even like good, like pro homeless propaganda, which is hilarious in a meta kind of way, which is funny. Like it's just like double funny. I don't know. And then simps everywhere. Maybe people are kind of fat too. I don't know. In Gotham City. I don't know what else. Angela, I have an owl named Sheldon. John Stone, The League of Unhoused Superheroes. Yeah, that's part of it. They have to be called the Unhoused. A lot of that is in the Bleeding Heart liberal stuff is in the Dark Knight Returns, and it's awesome. Yeah, man, I'm only halfway through this pickle. Kind of making me thirsty too. Hold on, good thing I got water. Water sparks joy when you're thirsty. You're like, I'm going to treat myself to a little break right here and just drink some water. Um, it could be fun to do a Naked Samurai story about a homeless dude. It's a super stinky homeless guy. I think stinky stuff is funny in comics. This came up during Creative Block, but like drawing flies buzzing around a dude, people plugging their nose around a dude. Um, I think maybe I'm going to dedicate my life to drawing stinky comics. I'll think about it. 14 people watching. How's it going? The other thing maybe about Gotham City, probably some of it. I don't know if some of it is borderline cliche, but we throw shit at the wall till it sticks, But uh, the politicians are corrupt, but it's like, what do they call it? It's the shoot, what's it called? It's just like laws, regulations, just everything regulated. By the way, I heard a funny anecdote about that. It was my neighbor owns the property next to me. It's just empty, so he mows it like once every 2 weeks. And I was mowing mine, so we were talking and saying hi or whatever. He's an older guy, and he's like, "Yeah, freaking everything's regulated. Can't do anything. Can't. You used to be. You could just build, do whatever you want. Can't do that at all anymore." Blah blah. I was like, "I know it's terrible." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "My friend." He's like, "This is so crazy. My friend started building a shed on his property, and they said, hey, you can't do that. You need a permit to do that. If you're going to build a shed, you need a permit." And he's like, he'd kind of just started. So he's like, "Okay, I'll just take it down, whatever." And they're like, "You need a permit to take it down." And I don't know. So something like that would be like maybe straight up that could be like a short story that radicalizes a guy in the modern Gotham City. What else? Like maybe expensive coffee. I don't know. Commutes. Maybe commutes drive people crazy. That's kind of a classic. Yeah, I don't know what else. You have to sit down and think about it. But it's funny. I don't know if like if you're gonna make fun of like kind of a corrupt political class, it kind of feels like that would be easy, like too easy, and that would make it bad. But then I'm like, I feel like nobody's doing it. But I need to read. I would have to read to confirm. But like, I feel like if so many of the people writing Batman, they're all Democrats, so they kind of can't really do it. Like, not that a Republican could do it either, but I don't know. They just kind of Maybe I'm pigeonholing them. I don't know. But you would definitely want it. That's almost one of the first things you'd want to do is make fun of Democrats. And you can kind of do that in a, as weird as this sounds, you can do that in a non-political way. If it's Gotham City, it's kind of nameless political parties. Everyone's being idiots. Uh, Anyone reading it could like read as maybe as the other side doing it. It doesn't have to challenge their shit that much. Remember me, Dark Knight Returns. That Shed story is a Naked Samurai. Yeah, that could be a Naked Samurai story. Not even joking. It totally could be. Um, yeah, he attacks both sides. Popping Rico says, "What's up? What's up, man?" 13 people watching. Man, I can only stream for an hour. I won't even finish this pickle by the time the hour is done. So I got to finish the pickle, type up the short story ideas. We're talking about some of it out loud, but so one of the short stories I had an idea for is that the Naked Samurai, he finds a baby in a dumpster, and so he figures like I can't just let this baby die, so he's gonna like try and get it to like an orphanage or something, but no one will take it because it's been touched. It has special needs, and so he's like, shit, special needs aren't so bad. Like, come on. And he does finally find like a woman who will love any creature, any of God's creatures or whatever for who they are. She'll take it. But she doesn't have a husband, and he's like, I don't want the child to grow up without a husband, without a father. He'll turn into a sissy. So we got to find you a husband first. So then he becomes a matchmaker, and he tries to hook her up with someone, and it goes terribly. But then she inadvertently does meet her true love, and they adopt the child with special needs. And then depending on how you could do it is like maybe the it was like the child's eyes are just crossed or whatever. Like he's got crossed eyes. Like nobody wants a kid with crossed eyes. And then maybe they do have a surgeon, like the equivalent feudal equivalent of a surgeon who can fix that. So they do fix the kid's crossed eyes. Which actually that happened to my dad. My dad was born with crossed eyes and didn't get him uncrossed till he was like 8 or something, and now he doesn't have depth perception. So maybe that's the idea because we're trying to fit the autobiographical stuff in there, and Naked Samurai was initially based on him anyway. But that like I was thinking like it is kind of funny to have a special needs dumpster baby, like that makes me laugh. But I'm like, is that insensitive? Would that kill the hypothetical Daydream publishing deal with Dark Horse? They would never publish the special needs baby. Like then it could just be cross-eyed baby. They better allow that. But I'm like, why not go for the full thing? And the lesson being like, you could do it heartwarming. Like special needs babies are beautiful, dude. Come on, everyone knows that. But you could have an ending, yeah, where it's like a quote unquote happy ending where like the baby's extra healthy or whatever. So like, wow, this got dark. Romy, did you watch Tokyo Godfathers? No, but I know that's a dumpster baby story. I think dumpster baby is like a subgenre almost. Maybe I'll tweet that. I'll tweet the subgenre of the day, dumpster baby. What if it was worse than special needs? What if it was just white? I mean, that's not bad in feudal Japan. That could be fun. But I don't know if I just want to even deal with race right now. 100 short stories for Dark Horse called Dumpster Baby. Yeah. The Dumpster Baby could grow up. You could do a future, past. Like, I don't know what the rules are within the stories of like, yeah, like if it, if there's no rules, you could do one where he time travels or one where he's 100 years old, but I was thinking they might all be when he's like between the ages of like 20 and 40. That's kind of a big gap. But say when he's like 30, even just when he's 30, there's 100 adventures that happen to him in that 1 year, and these are the adventures. And I know if you did 100, there would be some lore buildup and some overlap and returning characters within just these short stories, and it would be really fun. I think readers would love it It does. It reminds me. We were talking about the pros and cons of comics. It feels like ooh extra like building up the everything people love about comics. Takes place in modern day Portland next to Dark Horse offices. Yeah, munch, munch, munch. I'm almost done. Yeah, so that's one idea. The extraction of the billionaire is one idea. You could do something with like a hunt. Some you could do some animal based ones, but like a hunt could almost be like that. Oh, that's kind of, the crab one's a little bit like that. But luckily, I didn't focus too much on the crabs because there almost is like an instinct to like make it about the crabs and make one special crab, and he's the main character. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, like for this at least. I'll do that. I do stuff like that on other stories, but yeah. What else? What else could there be? Oh, so one of the rules too is like if it's kind of slice of lifey, also kind of like societal mumbo jumbo. That's not the right word exactly, but the example being like, say he has to extract the billionaire because he's been shitting in buckets in his stinky apartment, and the reason is because they need him to like sign off on like a real estate deal for it to build to like convert this like maybe like an ancient temple is going to get converted into like a whorehouse. They're going to make tons of money, casino whorehouse, and it's because like that temple was from a cult offshoot that has since gone extinct and was destroyed, genocided or whatever, and they're just whatever they're going to wipe it off. They don't care about it, so they're going to do that. So, but anyway, somehow they need this guy to like has to be around for that deal to go through, and he's been shitting in buckets for 6 months. Nobody knows, and like that's the thing. So if I say that plot though, like that could almost be like a movie length plot. Like that's like a rom com plot kind of thing where he'll go in there, they kind of become friends. He ends up failing in his mission, but by failing, he actually succeeds because the guy realizes that he doesn't want to go through with destroying the temple, and they kind of become friends and some other stuff, blah blah blah. That's like a movie. So, but you're doing it as a short story. This is what's fun about like the format of the Naked Samurai shorts. It kind of makes it, yeah, like extra fast paced. Um, yeah, it kind of goes with if this comes up on a creative block, we call this embarrassment of riches, where it's like, oh, you're taking something that could be a movie and you're turning it into a short story. You're like wasting that idea. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna waste 100 ideas, like just great ideas that could build careers. I'm gonna shit them out as little short stories and give them to you all in a little floppy series called The Naked Samurai that you can just pick up right next to the dumpster baby behind Dark Horse headquarters. So like infrastructure is kind of part of the word of the slice of life type stuff. Popping Rico says sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, 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 yeah. That kind of came up with the Percival stuff. Is some of the ideas are like universal ideas that work for any TV show. Like it might have been like a Ninja Turtles plot or something. Um, and you'd be like, I feel like these writers' rooms have story bibles that include these like tropes that can kind of get used over and over again, and they don't get old if you plug in your characters into them. They're still kind of cool. Um, and yeah, like because of all the Percival kind of research going through that, been in that mindset, and it makes it easier. Like some things are kind of hard to write unless you're like doing it a lot. Like one example is writing jokes that are like something Jimmy Fallon would say at the opening monologue. That if you like sit down right now and you're like, okay, I'm gonna write 3 opening monologue jokes. It's actually like kind of hard, borderline impossible. But for some reason, if you did it kind of a lot, like did it for a week, and you like, watch the news and you watch Jimmy Fallon and you see him, you see the examples, do it for just a week even. Then it's like you kind of get in that zone, and then it's not really that hard. You can kind of do it. So it's like that, I think, kind of writing, these short stories within the Naked Samurai universe, thinking of like kind of like what are these formulas that we're using here that we can apply. But yeah, and the one that has come up too that uh it's actually one, here's another idea, is like a safe house, like a kind of house where a crime lord runs it and criminals can come to it, but they have to kind of pay rent, but it's off limits to the cops. So you can, if you're got heat on you, you can go, it's on this island in this swamp, which is loosely based on a Japanese movie I saw that was badass, but that I actually never finished. I need to finish it. I forget what it was called. It was sweet though. And so yeah, like that would be an awesome setting for a short. Naked Samurai's there. I had a little plot idea for it. It was something like, there's like 8 semi-iconic criminals there all at once, all by chance. But one of them is like, I don't know, I gotta think this through more, but say one of them is like has a very useful skill. Like he's just like the best swordsman. Like he's legit the actual most famous swordsman in the land that they know nobody can beat him. And they have some reason that he could help them. The 7, they all have a problem. Maybe it's just one awesome cop has like fucked them all over. And he's got them pinned down on this thing and he's negotiating a deal to maybe get them arrested. Meanwhile, one of the guys is the most badass swordsman. And they've all stolen some money. They all have kind of a lot of money with them. And they're like, hey, let's pool it 7 ways. Half of our take each is quite a bit of money. We'll give it to this guy. We'll pay him to put a hit on the cop. And yeah, something like that. That could be the plot. That's like other stuff happens. I don't know. Sark, what's up? But even with that, like there's kind of a short story idea that starts the good, the bad, and the ugly that is hilarious. But it's like the the bad, he got paid to kill someone, so he goes to kill him, but before he kills him, the guy's like, I'll pay you double whatever he paid you if you don't kill me and kill him instead. And he takes the money. He's like, I still complete my job. Boom, kills him. But then he goes back to the guy that just hired him, and the guy's like, how did it go? He's like, it went pretty good actually. He's dead now, but he paid me one last job before he passed away too. And the guy's like, no, boom, he shoots that guy too. I'm like, that's amazing. But it's kind of funny, like, I don't know. That could be like a short story. Something about if you have a bunch of rich people, but they're all criminals all at once and they got to decide what to spend their money on. They're like, if we pool it up, we can afford this guy. But if we don't pool it up, we can only do this or what, like blah, blah, blah. So that's another one like in danger of being movie length. It goes too fast. I got to think about these because doing them like legit, like 5 to 10 pages, it kind of gets, in some ways, it gets harder the shorter you go. And it is like slightly different ideas that you could do like that. Um, but I don't know. Thinking about it, it's fun to try and think of this like short story mode. You have to be extra efficient. Some of that I picked up from working with Mark Miller too. His pages are very fast paced, very efficient. a lot of 4-panel pages where then each panel is like a 2-beat panel. So it still gets almost as much story as like what could be like an 8-panel page, but it's just 4 panels. That was awesome. And when I saw that, I kind of started doing that myself. What if the dumpster baby had an attitude and had 5 girlfriends? I mean, once he grows up, that's kind of hilarious. Like a Where Are They Now? Me and Jared are joking about a Where Are They Now sequel to Hotel Story, which would just tell you where all the characters are. Some are in heaven, some are in hell, some are ghosts, and some are just like on a cruise, just like chilling. Those people who survived. Um, yes. Well, not even done with my pickle yet. Gonna go the whole stream. Kind of said a lot of what I wanted to type out, but my hand is filled with this pickle the whole time, so I wasn't able to type. But the idea with the most gravitas is still the dumpster baby with crossed eyes. That is classic. Paprika seems you're in a pickle. Yeah, but writing down like iconic characters helps. If I could even write down like, and this is like kind of hard, but if I could write down like 20, like maybe there's a famous gambler, maybe there's a magician. These are just starting points, but you get something going. Maybe there's a swimmer, like a strong swimmer. I don't know. There's like oh, a one-armed swordsman. That is a maybe two, you know, been done or whatever baggage, because that's a straight up thing, but it's badass. A blind swordsman, so been done, so badass though. So I don't know. All right. Well, I might end the stream here, but this is like the idea, kind of saying it out loud, manifesting. This is like the goal. The problem is I can't get distracted too much. Not that it's a distraction, but I almost have to. I'd have to refocus because I have been writing Percival. I can get to an okay stopping point at that, but I have to like finish, you know, kind of a big little story that I have going for that. If I have that done, put a little pin in it, and then try and bust out 50, maybe 100. And then, yeah, like are some 1 page or some 5 page, some 10 page, some 20 page. Maybe once in a while you have like a 40, 48 page. It's like a 2 issue. Um, and it's not necessarily like paced like the episodic style in like 80s or 90s. Some of like the Claremont stuff is there's just like a ton of word bubbles. And yeah, they pack a whole story in an issue and that's awesome, but it's kind of so many word bubbles it's almost too much. Um, you can just still do like those short story tricks of like tell don't show, treat it like a movie trailer, skipping real fast here, which is actually kind of awesome. And we're going to tell this whole story in 10 pages. And yeah, we're going to leave out some stuff because we're going really freaking fast here. That's just the way it is. Yeah, Joyce's dumpster baby is so on the nose. Yeah. Um, cool though. From the shorts compendium, the one of the short stories is the pickle short. The pickle short could like guest star in as one short that has nothing to do with Naked Samurai, because I do like that one a lot. It kind of is the same world, but it's not. Naked Samurai isn't in it. Yep. All right. Well, 55 looks good to me. That satisfies my whatever OCD levels I do have. It doesn't need to get to an hour. 55 is fine. So I'm gonna click the button. It's gonna end the stream. CJ, what's up, man? You're getting here just as I'm about to leave, but look, you can see all we accomplished. Yeah. All right. Cool. I'll catch you guys later. I'm on with Aldous tonight for the gutter. So catch you guys there. All right. See ya.